Hi everyone, so I'm going to be talking about the story behind the numbers of the donut company Krispy Kreme. So as everyone probably already knows, Krispy Kreme is a global donut and sweet treat company known for their iconic original glazed donuts. They make money by selling these products in over 30 countries through different channels like their donut shops, retailers and grocery stores, e-commerce, and their delivery service. They are part of the retail food stores industry, specifically the coffee and snack shops and donut stores, with major competitors such as Dunkin', Tim Hortons, Starbucks, Panera, and more. They operate in three major segments: the US and Canada, international, and market development. So kind of their background and strategic plan is that they use a hub and spoke model, meaning they manufacture their donuts and their other products in their hot and light theater shop, and that's like the hub, and they transport those products to their spokes, which are their fresh shops, their e-commerce and delivery, and they're delivered fresh daily. And Krispy Kreme has a major focus on increasing points of access to their donuts, meaning customers have a lot of different ways that they can get their hands on a Krispy Kreme donut. And this is kind of my main focus for the story behind the numbers, as Krispy Kreme looks to increase points of access and expand their company. So like I said, they have a growth strategy that's driven by that hub and spoke model, and expanding that. And they are looking to increase their sales per hub through, particularly through expanding those points of access. They also are introducing new brand lines, such as their sweet treat line, which is shown on the right. And they also want to stay true to that iconic brand of the original glazed donut. So getting into the numbers, we start with the balance sheet and the assets. So the first thing I noticed was that the short-term assets are much lower than the long-term assets. Their biggest assets here are property and equipment, goodwill, other intangible, and operating lease right of use. And so a lot of their money is in that long-term asset category. And this also makes sense that goodwill is their highest asset, because as they're looking to expand, they've been acquiring franchises and acquiring other companies, such as they acquired Insomnia Cookies in 2018. So this Krispy Kreme is really committed to expanding their company, and you can see that in the assets. Liabilities is similar. We see that the short-term liabilities are a lot less than the long-term liabilities. And from year to year, just like the assets, there is not much change going on here. So as I said, the long-term assets have a lot more money in them than the short-term assets, which means that Krispy Kreme is not very liquid. So most of their assets are far from cash. But this makes sense because they're investing in things like property and acquiring other franchises, things like that, to expand their company. And they don't have a lot of money tied up in cash. Also, they are financed 41.3% by owners and 58.7% from non-owners. Interestingly, their net working capital is negative. So this is because those current assets, I think, are so low. So they also have high accounts payable, which drives up those current liabilities. So this could indicate that Krispy Kreme is making purchases that increase its liabilities, which might be beneficial later on, but aren't showing a good working capital or a high working capital because of that. And in the managerial notes, they actually said they can operate with a low working capital because their consumers are paying in cash or credit and debit at the time of the sale, and their inventory is sold off before the payment is due to the vendor. So they don't have to have a very high working capital. All right, so with the income statement, the first thing that I noticed was that the revenues here are increasing year to year. So from 2021, we have a pretty significant increase to 2022. And then again, we're increasing in 2023. So that is a good sign for Krispy Kreme. That does also indicate that maybe their investments are paying off and they are seeing that increase in revenue. Also a trend that I noticed is the operating income, very low in 2021, and then it jumped up in 2022 and then dipped again, but it is recovering from that, only 4,280 in 2021. So that's also a good trend here. And then another trend is the net loss. So in 2021, they started with a $60,000 net loss and are now at a almost $9,000 net loss. So that is a pretty big increase. That shows again that those investments that they're making may be paying off because they are trending in the right direction, even though they are still at a loss. And because they're at a loss, you'll notice that the profit margin is negative and so is the return on equity. And I think because that net income is negative, and it's in the numerator, like the profit margin and the return on equity are going to look low. However, because the net income and the operating income have been increasing, I think that might be a better sign than using profit margin or return on equity. All right, last we have the statement of cash flows. First up is operating activities. So really, I just want to look at the bottom line here at the net cash provided by operating activities and is there a trend? So 2021, pretty low, and there's a big increase to 2022 and then pretty stable to 2023. So we also want to notice that it's positive. So cash is coming in from operating activities. Then for investing activities, we see a slight, well, they're all negative, but it's a slight increase. But we'll notice that they are all negative, which means cash is coming out, which also makes sense for a company that's looking to expand because they are making investments that will hopefully pay off later on, but that means that cash is coming out on the investing activities. And then finally, for financing activities, you'll notice that in 2021, it used to be a pretty high positive number, decreased significantly in 2022, and then now we are in the negatives for 2023. So cash is now going out. So this also can make sense if we look at Krispy Kreme is paying off debt. They are paying distribution to shareholders. So now cash is going out. And I think this also makes sense for a company that's looking to expand because they are using their financing activities to expand their company and pay off some of those liabilities. So like I said, investing and financing activities were not a source of cash, but operating activities were. And it was a little bit concerning that in terms of short-term liquidity, Krispy Kreme cannot pay off its current liabilities with just the cash generated from operating activities. So that money will have to come from elsewhere, I guess. And that's all that I have. Thanks.